Hey everyone, Wayne Fox here. I can't believe that I just dropped almost $250 on two Apple Thunderbolt 4 cables. $250. Admittedly, that sounds a little crazy even to me. What makes these cables worth so much more than, say, the ones from OWC or CalDigit? They're both reputable companies. They're known for making great Thunderbolt 4 devices. Their cables cost about 1/3 of these Apple ones. Currently, I use a mix of both of those brands. Do you know I've been annoyed by the fact that my M.2 SSD external RAID drive performed extremely poorly compared to when the same SSDs were mounted in a PCI card internally in my 2019 Mac Pro. Since one of the big features of Intel's Thunderbolt spec is the ability to extend the PCI bus to external devices, I was frustrated at how slow they perform when on the external bus versus the internal bus. I was hopeful that Thunderbolt 4 would help since it doubles the bandwidth of the PCI channel through the Thunderbolt. Didn't see any change. Now they still perform pretty good, but really no better than perhaps a single SSD would, and they're molasses compared to the internal SSD that comes with my MacBook Pro. So today I watched a video by the famous Mythbuster Adam Savage about these cables, which was pretty cool. They basically did a CT scan of the cable and, more importantly, the connectors. And what it shows is an incredibly intricate circuit in the connectors of these two cables. Now, maybe it's just in the 2 and 3 meter cables, maybe not the 1 meter cable. We're talking about a 9-layer board with tons of parts and at least one pretty decent sized integrated circuit, all designed to maximize the throughput of the cables. Now, these are known as active cables, and I think most Thunderbolt 4, maybe all Thunderbolt 4 cables over 1 meter, such as the 2 and 3 meter cables, are active. I'm not sure there's any way to meet Intel's specification of the 40 gigabit per second bandwidth required of a Thunderbolt 4 cable without being active. But from some research I did, it appears there are two ways to make a cable active, two technologies, and Apple's cable is using a different method than most of the others. And so their connectors are larger. I was sort of impressed, and I was also hoping to solve another problem that I've dealt with for years, because Apple is offering a 3 meter cable where most only offer up to 2 meters. Now, as it so happens, I have two SSD drives that I use all the time for work, and two conventional hard drive cabinets that hold regular hard disks, the spinning kind, that are my backup drives. Now, I have these last two drives nicely tucked away back here on my cabinet up high behind me. But the two SSDs have to go inside this cabinet over here because the 2 meter cable, that's as far as it'll reach. Now with this 3 meter cable, I can get all of the hard drive cabinets, including the SSDs, up on this other cabinet next to each other, way up out of the way, and free up some space in my cabinet behind my desk. But the big question is, does all that extra money get me any better performance or not? After all, if that's what all the tech is for, if it doesn't deliver, then it's just over-engineered and overpriced stuff. Now, admittedly, I'm not really set up to test this kind of stuff. All I can do is run some speed tests and perhaps some file transfer tests with the current cable versus the new cable. If it's faster, sweet, cool. The tech delivers. But if it's slower, it doesn't mean much because I could easily have something else in my system that bottlenecks the throughput. For example, the SSD cabinets are in a Thunderbolt 3 cabinet, and I can't buy a Thunderbolt 4 version of those cabinets. Maybe that's the bottleneck. I don't know. So let me open this one up really quick and take a look at it. I'm just kind of curious. It doesn't have the cool little zip. Oh, there it is. Yep, it's got the cool little Apple zip thing you pull, and then everything pops open, I guess. There we go. And, of course, Apple packaging, as typical, all pretty well done. Let's pull all this off. And of course, as with all Apple cables now, it's this new braided stuff. And they are kind of nice. I do like it. Now, the one thing I'll notice right away is this is pretty substantial compared to my under Thunderbolt cables. And if you take a look at the connector, this is quite a bit larger, I think, than most of them. But inside of this is all that circuitry that I talked about. There was another channel that actually cut this open, and it's pretty impressive what's in there. So I like the braided cable. Now, Apple's braided cables are really nice. There's a lot of companies making braided cables now that they're just kind of stiff and unwieldy, and they need to figure out, just because it's braided, you need to do a little better job. Otherwise, I'd just rather have the old rubber ones. Anyway, I will hook everything up and run some tests, and in a couple days, I'll finish up this video. And if I'm lucky, it helps me get a little better speed. So see you in a couple days. Well, I've got it up there. Let's just take a quick look. Now, this is the first test I did with the old cable. And as you can see, after the first pass, the read time just slows down dramatically. Then you'll notice the write time slows down. And the one thing I noticed, this is really inconsistent. Each pass, I think it's doing a 5 gigabyte file. And a lot of times it's giving me pretty good speed, 2800 to 2400 between read and write. But then it constantly gives me this low speed and it slows down and it's not very consistent. Now, it hasn't been a problem. I've been able to function pretty good. The speed hasn't been a problem. But now I've got the new cable in, and let me just see if it does any better. So I replaced the one cable that goes from my CalDigit hub to my little SSD RAID. I didn't move it yet. All I did was change the one cable. It was an OWC, and I don't want to knock the brand. I've tried several cables. I've tried CalDigit, and I've got the same kind of results. But now I've got the Apple 3-meter Pro cable, Thunderbolt 4 cable, and let's just take a look at the results there. Now, I'm a little surprised. I get 2800 write, 2400 read, but you'll notice the difference is it's consistent. I get that over and over and over and over, and I don't get a part where all of a sudden the read slows down to 300 and the write slows down to 1500 and then it speeds back up. I can't really say that the cable's the reason, but it sure seems like it is. That's all I did was unplug the one and plug the other one in. I don't even know if the cable that goes between my CalDigit and my computer is a good cable. It's a Thunderbolt 4 cable, but it's not a brand I'm familiar with. I bought it because it has a right angle adapter on it and it fits better. But the bottom line is my speeds are consistent and it looks like I'm getting better throughput with this Apple cable. Now, if you're trying to pump 8K video through this, or you're trying to pump, a display and 3 or 4 different hard drives, I mean, if you're trying to really push a lot of data through a cable, it might be worth the investment to pay more for this particular cable. If you just got one hard drive and it's not really a super fast drive or one 4K display, then there's no reason you would need to. And even if you've got several, I think the CalDigit, man, the OWC, they're good cables. But if you really feel like you're not getting what you need, this cable does seem to deliver more than the other cables based on my tests. Now, hopefully somebody out there will really do a really good test, somebody that's got the right kind of equipment and really understands this stuff better than I do. But in the meantime, I'm not too sad I bought the cable because now I feel pretty confident that I'm getting the max performance I can to my computer. Still only half of what it would get if it was internal to the PCI bus on my Mac Pro. That part I still don't understand, but I guess maybe the PCI through Thunderbolt just maybe, it just can't deliver even at the 32 gigabits a second that it's capable of now. Well, hope you enjoyed the video. If you feel like buying any of these cables, I'm going to put links in the bottom. I'll also link that Adam Savage video. The cool part about that is he does the CT scan on some cheaper brands as well, just to show you how they're not too good. Now, Intel will certify cables, and so the minimum you should do is make sure that it is Intel certified. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. See ya.